Hey guys. I know
Hello,
people are probably just starting to join. I'm Kiana.
and I'm Thandiwe or Tandi, whatever works best.
Condi. Can you please explain to them how beautiful your name is and the meaning of your name?
Oh my God. Okay, well, my name is like South African origins, um, and it means the loving one and beloved in Zulu and Xhosa. So, yeah.
So basically, she's perfect.
Okay. Anyways,
I told her earlier that name
moving
is
on,
it's
moving
a lot to live
on.
up to, but she's got it.
Whatever you say. Let's talk about you now, since you want to talk about me.
Um, yeah, I am. I just got off another live panel thing. I like get really
Mhm.
nervous when it comes to these types of things. I always say I'm just way
Same.
better at using my words in music than I am like just speaking.
Hmm.
I'm better at just taking action, taking to the streets, and making people
Period.
cry over Messenger, Facebook Messenger, and then like writing songs. That's like my forte.
That's like a very good range though of like talents. So
Thank you,
that's good.
thank you. I have disowned a lot of my family at this point, so it's been really fun. You know, it's a good time.
Girl, me
It's a real good
too. You and
time.
me both. You and me both.
So, how are you feeling today on Juneteenth?
It's Juneteenth, guys. I love it. You know, it feels weird, especially because like, quarantine and all that, and there's nobody outside like playing basketball in the middle of the street. But I'm in the spirit, in the holiday spirit, and barbecue's coming up later, so
Ooh,
had to get ready. You know what I mean?
yeah, you look
Anyways, so
cute.
do you. You always look cute. But yeah.
Thanks. And that hoodie is it. That is it.
Right? You
Where'd
like
you get that
it?
from? Yeah, I
Okay,
love
I
it.
didn't buy it. My friend made it. She has an Etsy. I'll figure out what it is, but she's like a
Yeah, you
white
just sent me.
ally. I'll send it to you.
Just send me the
Yeah.
info.
100%
Um,
of the proceeds are donated to BLM Los Angeles.
we love to see it. We love to see it. So have you always celebrated Juneteenth?
Yeah, so my family is actually from Texas. We come from like a very small town called Beaumont, kind of, well, it's like 2 hours away from Houston, um, very close to Galveston. And so, like, I was on the phone with my grandmother today, and she was like, yeah, it was our people who didn't know that slavery was over. And I was like, oh, word? Because I didn't actually know that. I thought we only celebrated it because we were from Texas. Um,
Right.
but apparently, like, we are a part of this holiday. So, kind of always celebrated it in different ways. Yeah. How about you?
Wow. I actually, this is the first year that I'm celebrating it. I'm really just learning more about
Mm,
Juneteenth. I think that, it's better late than never. Unfortunately, our history
period.
books do not teach us about this kind of shit, which is very unfortunate.
Right.
But yeah, this will be my first year. I'm just trying to educate myself. Even as a black woman, I have to educate myself. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, this year it's a good year. I'm celebrating inside my apartment.
Mm, it's okay. We all are. Don't feel too sad about it. But yeah, we've been learning a lot of things in quarantine. Like I didn't, well, actually I didn't know because my dad, like, I thought he was just crazy, but a lot of people didn't know that, what's the name? Beethoven was black. That was something that was new to me.
I didn't know that. Yeah, look, my boyfriend's face was like,
Really?
swear Beethoven's black. He said, yeah, Beethoven's black. And I just saw this thing that said Betty Boop was originally
Yeah.
black.
Hmm.
That's so crazy.
Crazy.
That's
And the thing is,
amazing.
I kind of guessed that because I was like, why her edges? Her edges were like always just swooped.
So clean.
I was like, I never met a white woman
So
with edges that
cool.
clean. So
Wait, I gotta find I want to read it to people really quick if I can find it. Here it
of
is.
who what?
Of who Betty Boop was before she was whitewashed. This is the. Oh, wait. Uh, Here we go.
Yeah, there you go.
That is the transition between Baby Esther and who whitewashed Betty Boop became. PBS has confirmed that Betty Boop, the popular cartoon character introduced to the world by cartoonist Max Fleischer in 1930, was actually inspired by a real-life African-American jazz singer and entertainer from Harlem, and her name was Esther Jones. Her stage name was Baby Esther, but unfortunately, when her character became the first and most famous sex symbol in the animation world, she was whitewashed, with most people having no idea where the original inspiration came from.
Wow.
That's so crazy.
So crazy.
You really
And the
learn
thing
something
is,
new
like,
every day.
yeah, and like Josephine Baker, I don't know if you know her. She's like a famous like black dancer. I always used to say she kind of reminds me of Josephine Baker, but then I didn't want to make that comparison because I was like, okay, well she's white. I don't want to compare her to like Josephine Baker. But they're so like now it makes sense.
Come to find out.
Come
Wow.
on, be hiding the history.
They hide everything. Okay, hold on. Let me get this.
Knowledge is power.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, damn. So tell me about what you do, you little activist.
Well,
First of all, tell the people
do I
how
have
old
a
you are. I just think you're so incredible.
Okay, I am 16 years old. I will be a freshman at Howard University in the fall. Yeah, I mean, I was always like in this work, so to me it's not like impressive or anything like that, because my mom kind of raised me and my siblings to just be around and like be involved in the work. But I guess like I don't know, I guess that's not a thing for everyone, which that makes sense. But yeah, this is like I don't know what else to say.
It's just so amazing to me. I mean, not as much as you think it's normal. It's not normal that a 16-year-old is doing activism work like you, but I think that's so brilliant and amazing because you really are the future and you're starting in the present. I just think that's like really commendable. So, congratulations on being a genius.
Congratulations on being a musical genius, as yourself,
Thank you.
doing what you do. I don't know. I don't really know what to say when people say stuff like that. So sorry if I'm awkward.
It's okay, just absorb the compliment. Just absorb it. You in all your glory.
Okay. Sure.
Okay.
I don't know. Like maybe it's because of my like childhood trauma. I just do not receive compliments and stuff well. I'm just like, that's enough, love. Thanks. No more.
You're just like my sister. My sister is just like that too. Anytime I say anything nice, she's like, "Shut up."
Please.
This gets really
Because what do you want me to say?
Oh
Yeah.
man.
I don't know. But yeah, I want to ask you a few questions because I'm obviously not like a singer, songwriter such as yourself, but you are an artist and you're a creator. So I want to know like how that fits into your work and how that fits into like your organizing.
Yeah, I think the coolest thing about my job is that I get to take my own experiences as a black mixed brown girl and put it into songs and show people the emotional side to things. And then because of the position that I've put myself in, I not only have those experiences, but I also have the privilege and the finances to be able to, fight the fight and really just kind of bring the focus back to black organizers and black leaders, and just ensure that I'm doing the right thing every day to show an example for other girls who are just like me. and grew up just
Right.
like me and look like me, and also be representation, or representation matters, so also represent them. Even though
Yeah.
I get really scared to do that, like I'm not like perfect. I don't say things perfectly. I'm like really emotional. I don't know, like I said, I don't know how to
You're
speak
very
on.
close. I mean, you're like this close away from perfection. Come on. Stop trying to be humble.
Thanks. But I get really nervous talking about things because I just, I feel like as Black women, we are taught that we should just be complicit. Like we should just
Mm,
sit and be quiet and pay attention and
right.
just kind of just not make a fuss. So
Mm,
for me to take up more space that I'm not used to taking up has been like it's been a really big learning curve for me. It's been
mm,
kind of a difficult thing to do, but I think the only thing that pushes me to do it every day is first music, because it's where I feel the most comfortable, and second, to be able to speak up for people like me. It's way easier for me to speak up for other people than it is for myself. So I just kind of put myself in that position of like guardian of my community,
mm.
and other women, and that makes me feel better about speaking and standing up.
That's so beautiful. Because honestly, I don't want to say like I know what it's like to be you or anything like that, but I really understand the whole not feeling worthy, I guess, of taking up space. It's just like, I don't know. A part of the whole like decolonizing and dismantling these like systems of power is about making people like us, people who have been oppressed, who've been marginalized and silenced, feel comfortable in these spaces. And I feel like that is something that hasn't really been addressed as much as just like, okay, let's hurry up and just dismantle everything and make sure that everyone's good. But we've been living with all of these like societal structures and like these hierarchies for so long that um, it's kind of like ingrained in us to feel like, what's it called? Imposter syndrome,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel like social media is helping us take up space in a positive way?
Hmm. Social media is interesting because half the time I love it and half the time I hate it. Because it can get a little overwhelming. But I think no. I think it can.
No?
Well, okay, I think recently it has been like allowing us to take up space in a positive way. But in the past, I think everyone who I've been seeing who has like the platforms and stuff, it's not the people who need to have the platforms, it's people who have like their own, who want to further their own personal agenda, and like they have their own egos and their own um like missions and stuff, and a reason why they want to like have their platform. And most of the
Mm,
people who I've seen who have that platform do not see themselves, like you said, as an extension of their community or marginalized communities, you know? So I think now people with those platforms have been like, what's it called, past the platform or whatever, making
yeah,
sure that
pass
they
the mic or
center
whatever it's called.
organizers, yeah, pass the mic. Um, and so that's great, and I love that. But I think in order for it to be, like you said, something that is allowing us to take up more space, we have to keep doing that. We can't let the way things were continue.
Yeah, I think what you're saying is completely correct. I think, there was this whole talk about the black square and how the
Mm-hmm.
black square is like, it's a little performative, it's a little bit
Right.
like, does the black square really do anything? I think it's a symbol, and I was talking about this with some friends earlier, but like the symbols are important. Taking down those statues of the Confederation are important, but it's just,
Right.
I guess it's not, I don't know if it's just as important or a little less important or whatever you want to call it, but it is also important, as important as, really educating yourself on what source you need to go to be able to dismantle the systematic racism that exists in our country. But I think you're totally right. I
Exactly.
think it's a good way to spread the word, but it's not necessarily a way to take action unless you're going to sign a petition. Signing petitions is great, but there's also a multitude of other things that you can do to be able to combat the issues that we're
Exactly.
facing.
Exactly. And I feel like that's the exact issue that I had with the black square. I'm sorry, like my curtain just fell. Uh,
That's okay. You look
but
great. It's shining.
I'm trying to like, I don't know if it's too bright. But anyways, that was my issue, I think, with the black square is because I didn't want it to be an easy way out for people who like haven't been doing anything, haven't posted resources, haven't been out in the streets, haven't donated, to just put a black square and say hashtag BLM, and then that's like all they have to do, you know? And I feel like that's what a lot
Mm-hmm.
of people ended up doing instead of actually making sure that they use their platforms and their privilege to actually make real change. Yeah, that's just what I saw. So I didn't, and I've seen stuff like that in the past where people just want to take the easy way out because it's not fun at the end of the day. It's not fun
Right.
to, you know, your whole timeline is food and like yourself at the beach and in cute clothes and stuff. Why would you want to mess it up or anything with talking about BLM, talking about George Floyd? The people see it as like a stain on their timeline when at the end of the day, like people are dying, right? So, um, yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I feel like people are very quick to just, as humans, we want to just solve problems. And people are really quick to just say, okay, well, let's just post a black square. Or, okay, let's just post this one post about solidarity for the black community. Or, okay, let's
Mm-hmm.
just hire 5 black employees and then be done with it. You know, they come up with these
Ooh, we're
really quick
done.
solutions, but like the quick solutions are not what's going to fix it. It's way deeper than that. And I
Exactly.
think you're right. That's why I mentioned the source. It goes deeper. Like when I was, I'm sure. You went to like public high school? Did you?
Yeah.
Okay. So in public high school, you know, you experience a lot of racism, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
dealing with some kid who posted some racist video, and he had fuck niggers written on his arm, and it got out, and I was gone from the school. I went to the school freshman and sophomore year, but my junior and senior year is when it happened, but I was already in LA.
Wow.
Um, but I found out about this recently, that this kid, the video, it was actually a video, but the screenshot was posted, um, and it resurfaced. And when I found out about it, I heard that a lot of kids took it to the principal's office, and the principal did nothing. And I was just thinking about it all day, like crying, so stressed out, because I'm like, I obviously retweeted it and like added the kid, and I made it a point to like call him out, because we have to call people out by name. That's how we get like at least a little bit of change, is if we
Right.
hold people accountable, because he was not held accountable in high school. But I also wanted to like figure out how do I take this to a deeper level so it doesn't happen anymore, because it's clearly still happening in high schools. Like that was just one kid, but that one kid is a symbol of so many other kids that were doing shit like that in high school,
Right.
and are still doing that in high school. So, and my brother is in high school right now, so I was just thinking like, what can I do? And then people were posting this link of the principal at the time, and now he doesn't work at that school anymore. And I was thinking like, maybe we get the principal fired, but then I'm like, that doesn't really do anything either, because he's not even working at that school anymore. Like faculty and
Exactly.
students they're replaceable. Like they're in and out, in and out. They're not like staples. They're not like consistent.
Exactly.
So
And
what is
that's the
something
thing
that I
is
can change?
because, yeah,
Sorry,
I
continue.
mean,
Go ahead.
no. Um, I just got out of public high school, and let me tell you, like, ask anyone who went to school with me. I will say it publicly. I say it publicly all the time. I hate my school to this day, and I don't even go there anymore. Um, because the issue, like, we have a black principal, we have a black dean, we have a black counselor, but at the end of the day, black faces mean nothing on a systemically racist system. Like, the whole
Right.
system is the problem. So one
Mm-hmm.
person being fired one little consequence for one kid is not going to solve a whole system of injustice and racism.
Mm,
So I mean, at the end of the day, if nothing like gets done to address that system in the first place, of like, I think a lot of schools are passive. They're very just like, I want a band-aid fix on this little issue so that it doesn't get out and so we don't get sued or whatever, so the district doesn't cut our money. But at the end of the day, like, people are being hurt. I had a
mm,
friend, I'm Muslim, and my best friend wears a hijab. And on 9/11, like, people were posting her saying that she hates America, saying that she doesn't deserve to be in this country if she doesn't appreciate it, and all this stuff. And like, our school did nothing about it. Someone pulled her hijab off, and a teacher was standing right there. And he literally told her it's not that big of a deal, and she shouldn't be raising her voice at the boy. And nothing happened to the teacher, nothing happened to the boy. Like, it's the whole entire system. They don't have rules and regulations in place to hold these people accountable. So at the end of the
exactly.
day, I mean, that's why I love ethnic studies requirements. That's why I love like racial liaisons or whatever. What's it called? Restorative justice. I love all that because it's made to combat the system that's already in place that like does a lot of harm to our folks. So I would like to see more of that in schools because I'm sorry, that was very like long-winded. But
No,
yeah.
I love that. I mean, this is why we're here, right? It's a space to be able to talk
Yeah.
about what we need. Yeah, I agree. I think the biggest thing that could be of use for the schools and for the Black community and for Black students especially, and just students of any color, is a diversity class. Like something that is
Yes.
more consistent and more like pinpointed to certain groups. Like you need to get students, like we had diversity assembly, but it was like once every semester. We had one big one. And you know, when you go to assembly, like everybody's trying to make a joke out of it. Like everybody's just
Yeah.
laughing. It's just like who's gonna get the next laugh, who's gonna find the next meme, who's gonna find the
Hmm.
next joke. But I think if you separate kids into smaller groups and you talk amongst those smaller groups and educate them on the historical meaning behind, racist slurs or racial slurs and homophobic slurs and all these things that you should not
Yeah.
say, then they'll be more apt to learning and be more educated and understand why those things are not okay to say and why it's not funny. Because at the end of the day, kids are just trying to be funny, and that shit's not funny, and they need to know it's not fucking funny. It's actually really
I just
hurtful.
want to know who told them how hilarious they are. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's just a whole thing of kids being kids. Hopefully, our generation is the generation to like fix that. But at the end of the day, that shit is not funny. I don't know if I'm allowed to curse on here, but it's just not.
Let it out. Let it out. Yeah, I mean, I
I
also
feel
think that
strongly.
these the kids that are doing this kinds of shit, they're not being held accountable by their parents. Like they're not being disciplined at home. So
Yes.
where are they being disciplined? Because they're gonna grow up and become nurses, doctors, cops. They're gonna become all these positions of power, and they're not going to be protecting all lives, all people. They're not going to be
Right.
protecting them, even though that's what they signed up for, because they were never
Right.
held accountable for their racist actions,
Exactly.
even at a young
And
age.
yeah. And I mean, like, that's the thing, right? People can only teach what they know, and people can only like correct what they know is wrong. So the one thing that I will say, and I always talk about like this generation because I do think that we're a little different. um the one thing that I will say is that I think we do a good job of holding each other accountable because we know that no one else will do it. Like, literally everyone older just grew up, like, I don't know, everyone above maybe like your age, I just assume that they're racist or assume that they're like biased or whatever. Cause like,
Yeah.
everyone who's like a millennial and up, I just hear about all the slurs that people were saying in school and how like it wasn't a big deal back then. And I'm just like, in my mind, I'm like, I was never told that that was like, okay to say. So I think now, especially with like, I don't approve of doxing. I do think that there are some benefits of like cancel culture, even though sometimes we go too far. But I do think like you were talking about social media and all that, that might be one of the upsides is making sure that, okay, you said this word, you said this slur, you'll have no life anymore. I'm emailing your college. I'm emailing your whatever club you're part of, your job. You about to lose your job. Like, you about to get fired. You about to have no life. And that is
Yep.
what, you know, we're doing all we can in that capacity. But it does have to be in like institutions. It does have to be in like the household. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think social media is a great tool just to get the word out and to educate people and to, like you said, hold them accountable. It is a great place for receipts. We have all the
Right.
receipts and we can use them and spread the word and show the receipts so quick.
Yes. You post
It's
one thing
definitely
once. Yeah, you post one thing once, like, it will stay on the internet forever. And the funniest thing is, I don't think older people realized, like, because social media wasn't really that poppin' years ago. But literally, people will dig up, like, tweets from 10 years ago and be like, yeah, this person said the N-word. You didn't know that? And then it's like, damn, their whole career is over, period. Like, I mean, you expose them. But, and I don't know, that's another thing. I hate it when people are like, oh, I didn't know what racism was 3 years ago. I was only 18 years old and I wasn't aware of like that oppression existed and that you know, racism was a problem, and now I'm
Who
like
is saying
educated.
that?
You haven't seen all these celebrities? Talking about because you know how their tweets come up and they're like saying the N-word. All these non-black celebrities are saying like homophobic slurs or sexist slurs and stuff. And then they'll be like, oh, I didn't know what that was. Like, I was only this age. I'm 16. I know better than to say a few words. Like, I know what's okay to say and what's not okay to say. You can't act like you didn't know oppression and racism existed because you were, you know, barely a child. So I just think people be giving everyone too many passes. And then non-black people trying to forgive them for saying the N-word and stuff like that, or people who aren't a part of those communities trying to be like, it's okay, you were so young. Who invited you to this conversation?
Yeah.
Because you were never a part of this.
Yep.
I don't know.
I think that's the biggest thing is when people excuse behavior that doesn't affect them. That pisses me off so much. Like, for instance, I maybe I shouldn't name the person, but this is really difficult for me.
You don't
When
have to.
when somebody said an R&B singer said that maybe I should dress like an ugly black girl for Halloween, and all these black men were in the comments saying like, it's okay, queen, and shit like that, and then they just continue listening to her music because she's beautiful. It just feels like a slap in the face because, first of all, she's taking from black music, and she hates black women, but her whole thing is like just stolen from black culture.
Right.
And then you have like, it just frustrates me that black women are on the front lines of the Black Lives Matter movement. We're fighting every day. We fight so hard. And when something like that happens, and this isn't just like one that, like, that's a symbol. I keep talking about symbols, like that's a symbol. There's multiple accounts of
It's
this.
just so many.
When something like that happens to black women, people are so quick to forgive. I think that's like a really hard thing for me to grasp and to swallow, considering, you know, we black women are built as warriors and we fight so hard, but at the end of the day, who's fighting for us, you know?
That's so deep. And honestly, especially, I think that's really important to talk about in this time because we've been seeing on social media like all this violence against black women, even sometimes from our own folks. And it's hard to talk about because at the end of the day, we're saying all Black lives matter. We fight for every community, right? We're at the front lines for every group. But at the end of the day, no one like protects us, like you said. And so it's just really interesting to see, and it's heartbreaking to see, honestly. Like, even, I don't know if you saw Oluwatoyin and her story, but I mean, like, and trans Black women, like, it really, really does break me. It makes me feel like everyone is against me sometimes. And it really makes me question, like, why am I fighting this fight if everyone is attacking me at the same
Right.
time? So, like, what do we gain? Like, you know? So I think that's something that's really, like, really important that we need to talk about. And it's uncomfortable for
Yeah.
a lot of people too.
It's definitely uncomfortable, especially at a time like this. Like you said, we're all
Hmm.
trying to stick together to fight this fight together. But there are still things that are holding us back as a
Right.
community, within our own community. Um, but I think a beautiful thing that has come out of this is that we're seeing Black women band together even stronger. Like over the last couple years, I have seen I don't know if you've seen the movement of R&B artists, but like the fact that
Hmm.
we all support each other and we're so close knit and we really try and lift each other up against a society that not only oppresses us but pins each other against each other, pins
Yeah.
ourselves against each other, and tries to make us compete for like a spot
Yeah.
because for so long we were told and taught that there was only space for one of us or two of us.
Exactly.
And now we're just like, no, fuck that. Like, I
Right.
just think that it's so beautiful that we all, in a world that seems like it's against us at times, it's nice to see that we're all banding together more than usual and going even harder for each other.
Right.
It's
And
beautiful.
yeah, I mean, I one thing that like I've been really concerned about is with all of this, I want to say trauma porn, like people posting the videos of Black Death and like just um really just making sure that Black struggle and pain is just so public. I worry a lot of
Mm.
the time for Black joy and like mental health and all of that. Like, are there enough spaces for us to just be all right? And one day, I think my friend, her name is Kayla Robinson. She has this great Black-owned t-shirt shop. Check it out. It's called Greenbox Shop. Um,
Yeah.
Posted a video of just like a thread of Black people laughing. And I was like, I didn't know that I needed this, but I really did. And, I think we just take in so much, especially like you said, as Black women, we're constantly taking on everyone's battle, including our own, that we don't ever
Mm.
really find a moment of rest and a moment of just joy. And we kind of like sometimes teach ourselves and have been told that we don't deserve that joy and that we don't deserve these spaces. And when we do find those spaces of joy, people like a lot of the times have made me feel guilty about taking a break, about just saying like I can't do this. I need a timeout. But at the end of the day, like we all need those spaces of just rest and relief.
Yeah, that's a really valid point. I think I I don't know about you, but I definitely feel I don't know if it's like survivor's guilt or what,
Yeah.
but like even when I laugh, I feel
Mm,
guilty. Even when I
mm,
smile, I feel guilty. Even when I make a joke, I feel guilty. Like I feel like
yeah.
I should just be sad or just be angry right now. But
Mm,
I think over the last couple days, I've realized like this fight is so that I can live a life that I want to live. And
right.
that includes not only pain, but joy. And
Mm,
I need to be okay with myself. I'm very hard on myself. I need to be okay myself with just being like, you know what? Take a break. You can laugh. You can smile. You can bake. Do the things that you love to do. Because
mm,
it's important to find those times even in this time, especially in this time because this is such a long battle and we need to
right.
I'm trying to remind myself too. I tweet things that I want to remind myself, that I remind the public of, that I need
Hmm.
to wait I tweet things that I need to remind myself of, but I also remind the public but I also remind the public with whatever I'm tweeting. Damn, that was a
It's
tongue
okay. You got it
twister.
out. You got it out.
Thank you. But I do that to remind myself, it's okay to take a break because this is a
Mhm.
long fucking battle. This is not a moment, it's a revolution. And to be able to continue the fight, you need that energy. And in order to get energy, you need breaks. You need to exercise.
Mhm.
You need to take time for yourself. You need to eat right. I know for the first couple of days I wasn't eating at all. I wasn't eating, I wasn't sleeping. And now I'm like,
Me neither.
okay, I got all the anger out. I got all the fear out. You know, I'm still angry, but I got a lot of the anger out the first couple days with the protesting
Mhm.
and the everything that I was doing from home. And now I'm kind of in a space where I'm like, okay, let me sit in this for a little bit. Let me take a step
Mhm.
back and start to organize and do my part and use that energy that I'm gaining from the breaks that I'm taking and turn it into brain power to be able to make cautious and correct decisions for the future and the
Right.
battle, the long battle that it is.
Right. Yeah, I mean, my thing was I wish that I had like the self-awareness that you did. But my thing was I was seeing all these people, they would post something like RIP George Floyd, and then the next day they'd be at the beach. And I'm like,
Mm,
how are all these non-black folks able to find spaces of joy in this? And I don't deserve joy. Like they don't
right,
deserve joy more than I do. Even now, like people act like BLM, like Black Lives Matter, only mattered for 2 weeks or something. And everyone is like, okay, well, it was on the national news before and now it's over. But I'm like, no, like if they don't get to forget about BLM and go back to their lives without me at least having a little time for myself. And I'm not
right,
gonna, go all the way out and be like, Black Lives Matter don't matter anymore because I'm black. I don't have that option. But
right.
I know if everyone else is like, I'm done, I know that it is not my job um to be constantly struggling. Like that this fight is just as much about folks who are not directly impacted as it is for me. So if anyone needs a
Mm,
break, it's black people. Let everybody
yep.
else, I feel like you got to do this work too. Put yourself on the front line because this is not it's not okay that we it's also like can you imagine the trauma of like seeing black people die at the hands of police and then going out in the streets every day as a black person, going out in the streets every day and facing the people wearing the same uniform that have been killing you. Like it's ridiculous the fact that black people, like especially black women, we're fighting for ourselves and we're fighting for everyone else too and no one is helping, right? Like
Hmm.
anyways, it's I ramble, but yeah.
No, it's great. I mean, yeah, I think the how do I say this? So, there's a part of my family that is white. And
Mhm.
part of the battle that I've been fighting is not only the bigger picture, as we said, it starts at home.
Right.
Um, I have, going back to taking space, not taken space a lot of times. Like a lot of times during family dinners, I've been the only black person in the room and sat and been quiet when things have been said. And because I was scared, you know? And I think
Yeah.
now I'm at a real boiling point where I'm realizing that like some of my family sees me as an exception to my people. And
Mm.
that's really hurt me. And I've been having tough conversations with people who raised me, with people who told me they love me every day. And I'm
Mm.
realizing that that's not really the case, because if you don't love that part of me, then you don't love me. And
Yeah.
it's been a really tough battle, but like I said, I didn't ever bring this up because of myself. I brought it up because of my community and my people, and I'm really protective of that. Um, so just keeping that in mind made me kind of push forward and have those conversations that I was putting off for a really long time. But it has been very, very emotional, and I'm like surprised that I'm tearing up right now because I don't really like show how
No, go
emotional
ahead.
it's been.
Take that
I'm more
space.
just like I'm more just like ashamed, and I tell them how ashamed of them I are, and I tell them, or I am, and I tell them how angry I am, and I literally tell them I'm just not their family. I'm just not. Um, I keep saying like I try not to get emotional because then I will never stop crying, but because that's just me. I'm like a fucking crybaby. But
No,
the good
don't
thing
worry about
is that the good thing is that, I have my mom. My dad is black and my mom is Mexican. And I have
it.
my mom so my mom remarried a white guy, and his white family is the one that I'm talking about, who has known me since I was like 4 or 5 years old. And luckily I have my mom who I've been talking to about this, and I was just like, I'm having the initial conversations, but I can't keep doing it. It's putting me in such a,
Yeah.
I'm too angry and I don't have the time. Like, this is not what I want to focus on. I don't want to focus on talking to my white family about why they're wrong and why they're racist and why they don't fully love me if they don't love this one part of me. I don't want to talk about that. I want to focus on the bigger issues. I want to focus on prison reform. Like, I want to focus on the world, not this fucking tiny part, which is my family.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and she was like, you don't need to. Like, I need to fight for you. I'm going to have those conversations. I'm going to do it because that's my job. Because as a non-black person, that is my job. And
Right.
just seeing her like really step up to the plate like that made me feel more heard, and like I didn't just have to have my own back, and that's been really nice. So when you're saying take a break, like that really resonates with me because I think it's important, that our non-black family or our non-black friends really rise up to this occasion and do 10 times more than we're doing.
Yes. I mean, well, number one, I just want to say thank you for being like vulnerable and for feeling safe enough to share that part of yourself, because I know it's probably not easy at all. And yeah, I mean, I think that whole conversation about being not racist and being anti-racist, right? Like that kind of goes into what you're saying about, okay, well, is it enough that you aren't the one saying all these terrible things or seeing me as the exception? Or does it mean more for you to rise up to the occasion and see yourself as part of the solution to the problem? Which is a lot of, I sometimes have to put myself in non-black people's shoes because I personally, like, I never understood. I've always been raised in like activist work. So I was like, how do people act like this, right? Like, how do people not show up and be like, rah, I'm ready for war. Like, this is my time and this is my people, right? But at the end of the day, someone, I forgot who it was, but they told me you have to think about race as like a pyramid structure, right? And if black people are at the bottom of every socioeconomic caste or group or whatever in America, and everyone who is not black, then everyone who is not black has some sort of privilege just because they are not black. And so why would you want to insert yourself into black liberation struggle knowing good and well that it is going to be taking away from your privilege and it is going to be taking away from this whole system that benefits you more than it benefits us, if that makes sense.
Right.
And so honestly, like, of course, no, it does not excuse the fact that all these non-black folks are not doing this work. But at the end of the day, there's a reason why non-black people are just now starting to be like, okay, you know what, all of us need to be liberated and it has to start with black people. Because before, I mean, and even still, people are benefiting every single day just by not being black. They are even like poor whites, like there's this whole discussion about like when poor whites were poor, the way that they got through that poverty is like, okay, well, at least I'm not black. Like they were being poor and racist at the same time.
Exactly.
Gandhi, everyone's exposing Gandhi now. I've been like Gandhi was literally starving. And he was like, oh yeah, I'm starving and we're oppressed against white people, but you know what? I still hate the Negroes. Like, I still don't want them to be free. I want my folks to be free, but I just don't want dark-skinned Indian folks to be free, and I don't want black people to be free. Which is really so interesting. Like, these intricacies of racism and colorism, you
Yeah.
know? So, yeah, I'm just, again, like, I'm so thankful that you felt like opening up, because that's such a conversation that's needed right now. No one's
Mm.
very comfortable with talking about how it works, especially within um, families of color, or if you are aware of certain things, it probably is embarrassing. Like, my grandpa's white and his family was hella racist. And it's embarrassing because I'm related to him and his family.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I have an uncle who's a Trump supporter, a white man who's a Trump supporter. And yeah, I'm embarrassed about it. But at the end of the day, like, we are chosen family. Like, to me, you're my folks. Like, you know what? We adopted you. Like, everyone who chooses to be a part of this like revolutionary work, they are my family. And at the end of the
Yep.
day, I mean, blood only goes so far. So, yeah.
That's very true. That is very true. Yeah, I think. Ooh, man,
I'm
it's
sorry. This
it's
was not very deep. I don't know if you're comfortable with that.
no, I love deep. I'm uncomfortable with comfortability. I don't like
Period.
really blanket yeah, I don't like that shit. I like really
Hmm.
deep stuff, but being able to talk about having white family members is like it is embarrassing and it's shameful. Like yeah, very ashamed, but that's whatever. Like that's that little section of my life. My life is much bigger than that. My life is bigger.
Yeah.
It's more about the world and this country and black community. That's where my focus should be. I'm not trying to waste my time on that anymore because none of that shit matters. Like,
Period. And at the end of the day, like, my whole thing is I get to choose who I want to be in my family at this point. Like, my dad was hella abusive to me, like physically, mentally abusive my entire life, like even when I was little.
right.
And it took me a long time to really just be like, well, fuck him, honestly. Like, why do I even need him? And it took me a long time to appreciate the family that I had been given in terms of my community. Like,
Mm,
I am just now realizing how thankful I should be, and how privileged I was to have black folks, to have my entire community actually just like so embrace me and like tell me I'm loved, and help build me into who I am. And it still hurts, obviously, and I still should probably be in therapy. But at the end of the day, like, you know, I just love our people so much. Um, and I see everyone else, especially like black folks and brown folks and indigenous folks, as like an extension of me, because at the end of the day, we're all in this work together.
mm-hmm.
And especially when I show up at these protests and I see folks who I never even knew coming up to me, giving me like, where is that? Someone gave me like a hard hat. Someone gave me, hold on. Someone gave me like a whole emergency bag. I don't even know these people.
Oh,
You know? It's so cute. It's so, well, not cute, but it's so just beautiful to see everyone like coming together and embracing you because they just value you as a
yeah.
person, which is the system. Like, I'm sorry, I'll always relate everything back to the system, but like the whole point
Give
of
it
the
to
system
us.
is, come on now. So the whole point of the system is to say, like, we do not value your humanity. And there are people in our day-to-day lives who perpetuate that, who are like, we do not value you as a human. But what's beautiful about these like uprisings is that people are coming together simply just because they're like, I see you, your life means something to me. And so I'm going to show up on the front lines, even if it doesn't affect me, even if I don't know you. I'm going to
Hmm.
show up because I think you are valuable and your life matters. And so simple, but I love it.
Yeah, that support is so needed. Like, I
Yeah.
kept saying, like, sitting in my apartment, fighting the fight from my desk, and just
Hmm.
like being overwhelmed with the amount of work that needed to be done, and being overwhelmed with the emotions and the traumatizing things that I was seeing online. Like, I was so overwhelmed by it. And when I went out to protest for the first time, I felt a sense of relief, as weird as that is. Like, I felt a sense of like, oh my God, it's not just me fighting. Like, it's
Right.
not just me crying. It's not just me
Hmm.
screaming. It's not just me having the conversations. Like, there are people, there are black people, there are brown people, there are white people, and we're all doing this together. And just the
Right.
feeling, the energy, and the feeling of everybody walking together and screaming the same chant and like just saying
Yes.
that we matter. Shitty circumstance, but finally gave me like a little bit of that relief and that like that I guess positive reinforcement. That's a weird way to put it, but it gave me some positive reinforcement to keep going. And that's, I guess, another
Mhm.
form of energy that we need to keep to turn into brain power, to turn into power.
Exactly.
Mm.
Exactly. Are there like, should we like try and do questions? I don't know like how to do that,
Yeah,
but
I don't know
I
if
don't
they
think we
said
have much.
that. Let's see at
There's
the.
none.
Oh, I don't
There's
think
no
it's turned
questions.
on. Oh wait, here we go. Here we go. They're coming through.
Okay.
Hey guys, give us your questions.
Give us your questions, everyone.
Why? Hi, Isaiah. It's 2 a.m. Uh, uh, I'm home, girl. You know that song?
Me? What?
Yeah. Yeah, you know that
Yeah.
song?
Yeah. I was like, I don't even know what's happening. What's your favorite book? Someone says.
My favorite book? Probably Airborne by Kenneth
What's
Opel.
it about?
It's basically about, I don't remember what it's called, but it's based on this blimp, like a real blimp. What was the blimp called, babe? The Lindenberg? Hindenburg. It's based on the Hindenburg, but it's like a fantasy. So they get into
Hmm.
this blimp and they do like basically cruise ships but with blimps in the sky. And there's
Hmm.
a really rich girl named Kate on the blimp and she talks to the main character who is a guy, and they get together and they go on this trip because her grandfather died in a hot air balloon, and he found some like random species in the sky that was like a new
Hmm.
species, and he died without finding out like everything about it and what exactly it was. So they ended up like going on a hot air balloon trip to find. It's just like, I don't really like fantasy, but it was the first
Cool.
fantasy book that I actually liked, and it was slightly based on something real. So yeah, and Kenneth Opel is such a great writer. What about you?
I've never. Let me write this down.
It's
I
really good.
like this book. I don't know. What's her name again? Her name. Okay, the book is called Children of Blood and Bone, and I didn't think that I would like it, but everyone was talking about it, and it was a black author, so I was like, let me just kind of figure out what this is. Um, but yeah, it's based on like African traditional like indigenous religion. Um, and it's about people who have like connections to the gods or like the spirits and stuff, and how they were oppressed by everyone who didn't. But then like later there's like a whole revolution and everyone comes together and they like throw over the system. Actually, now that I think about it, it's pretty revolutionary and it's a children's book.
Wow, everybody needs to go read this book.
Go read this book,
What is
guys.
it called again? Children of
Um,
Blood and what?
Children of Blood and Bone.
Okay, we're gonna go read it.
It's pretty
Well,
good.
before we hop off, we only have a minute left, or less than a minute. But before we hop off, I just wanted to say thank you so much for doing the work that you do. And I think it's so, really quick, I think it's so important that you are doing this work and being able to be so articulate in the way that you are, because, you know, there's a lot of 16-year-olds that want to do the work, but they don't understand fully what adults are saying because they have a lot of really,
Mhm.
really intense vocabulary. So it's beautiful. Thank you.
And I just want to say thank you because I do not like taking compliments without giving them. I just want to thank you for your art and for your like raw just vulnerability and your like power and your strength in this conversation because I'm gonna be honest, I did not listen to a lot of your music, but now I have to check it out because you just have like such a beautiful soul and like your energy is just great. So everyone stream her. She her pronouns.
What?
Yeah. She her
What'd you say?
pronouns. Your pronouns.
What? Yes, 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 yes.
Okay. Yes, stream her music. Because you know she's just badass, and you saw that this whole conversation, like she has it going on. So you know what? We love to see the artivism. We love to see like your power, your pain. Sure, it makes you a great artist, and yeah, you're just like it was a great conversation.
Thank you. You are the fucking future. You guys, thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Levi's, for
Thank
having
you.
us. Talk to you
Great.
later. Keep
Okay.
fighting the fight. Black Lives Matter always. Happy Juneteenth.
Always, always. All right.
Bye.